Hello, welcome to Center St. Sister. On Center St. Sister, we might laugh or cry, we might get angry or motivated, we might grieve or celebrate, and sometimes all of those things can happen in the very same episode. We are a community of spiritual searchers who embrace Jesus' example of making a beeline to the hurting. Whether an episode is spiritual in nature, purely educational, or just for fun, my hope is that you finish the episode feeling hopeful. I hope you hear something today that lets you know you are loved and helps you love one another. Welcome to Center St. Sister. There have been way too many sweaty armpit moments of parenting to ever be able to safely announce one as paramount when it comes to most embarrassing. But one day at Target, in the checkout line, I almost melted from stress, just to be quickly put back together from the love of another mom. In retrospect, it's not quite as dramatic as it sounds, but at the time, I went from thinking these little people are absolutely going to be what finishes me off to there's nothing like the solidarity of women with a sense of humor committed to helping each other to get by. It went like this. You know those early days of motherhood? The ones where you wore your infant's breast milk because no leak is ever planned and you aren't the always prepared type? And you wore your toddler's yogurt because feeding a moving target has really sticky consequences. And you wore yoga pants with no intention of yogaing and flip-flops because you couldn't bend over your pregnant belly to reach your feet. And while erranding, you also wore said infant because 3 kids don't fit in a cart. That was me, some weekday afternoon, strolling the aisles of all our safe place Target until Dad came home and I could tap out long enough to defilm myself before dinner. Except after navigating home goods and toys and makeup and heading to the checkout line, my infant was looking a little more like a rag doll in my Moby wrap than he was Cuddlebug. But I couldn't notice because I was trying to keep my toddler daughter from touching the elderly woman's skirt who was standing in front of us. Now, to be fair, it was a lovely skirt. It was a beautiful material. It was something silky, but it had this crinkle to it that made you want to squish it. And there were layers. It seemed so inviting. It started innocently enough, and I really couldn't blame her. She reached out to just barely touch it, undetected, you know? But then she liked the texture, so she grabbed it, and she started to rub it on her cheek. Then it was as good as she imagined. She wanted to wrap herself in it. That's right. She had just started to work her way underneath this lady's skirt when I noticed that my son had shoplifted some gummy worms. He was putting them in the front of his pants. When I caught him and yanked them out of his pants from his underwear and put them back, I know he started flipping out. And I mean the kind of little kid flip out that makes you believe in exorcism. Flipping out. So one kid's head was spinning, one kid was barely hanging on in his Moby wrap, and my daughter was about to dance a lady's skirt off, and I was pouring sweat. I looked quickly at the line to see exactly who was a witness to all of this nonsense. I needed to know just how embarrassed I should be by my hellions and obvious lack of motherhood mastery. I also needed to discipline. And disciplining with a Target checkout line audience is maybe the mom equivalent of negotiating with terrorists on Bravo. I don't know. I caught the eyes of one horrified middle-aged woman. She was horrified, I tell you. I had lost a flip-flop in the process, and she was just staring at my bare foot. When she saw me looking at her, she quickly darted her eyes away and pretended to read a magazine cover. I don't blame her. Her aversion, it was actually kindness. I'm sure that she correctly assumed that I just wanted to fall into a trapdoor and disappear, and trying to make that as close to a reality as possible, she just pretended that I didn't exist. But in my continue to scan for judgment, haters, maybe even some help, I don't know, I caught eyes with another woman, and she was very much taking in the whole scene, unabashedly. Every last detail she was monitoring, and kind of chuckling. When she saw me, see her, she shook her head and said, "Honey, I have 3 kids and they're all at school and all I have to say is better you than me. Here's your shoe." I took my flip-flop. She put it in my hand, but then I couldn't get my foot in it because I was pregnant. Technically, I was carrying 2 babies, one on my chest and one in my uterus. And so she took my flip-flop back from me and she bent down and she placed it on my foot. I immediately considered the last time that I had a pedicure. I wondered if my big toe was hairy. She looked up, clearly not sharing my thoughts at all, and said, "And that one," pointing to Amelia, "she's my favorite." Now, there is no right or wrong way to go through a Target line, and honestly, both ladies offered me pieces of what I needed. But I walked to my car brimming with certainty that unless Jesus himself were in that line with me, I couldn't have felt more tended to by the second friend. And it mattered. It mattered because the whole debacle turned into this funny story to just impress my husband with over dinner, instead of the beginning of an afternoon meltdown, questioning my value, questioning what business I had at all doing the most inarguably important thing there is to do in this world, questioning my whole existence in isolation. It's easy to feel lonely in motherhood. It's lonely. There are duties, events, care tasks, necessities, things that actually demand a sacrifice of your own needs that are required in nurturing well. You have to feed a newborn multiple times a night. You have to. And for me, if it weren't for other women who could stand back and assess a situation and know almost exactly how it feels because she's done it herself, and then when they're able to meet me in it, even if in her very own way, well, I'm not sure that I wouldn't be a housebound hermit forever covered in dairy film without them. And who could envision a life without Target, really? I Mom So Hard, you know the ones. You've seen their videos. Kristin and Jen, the best friend duo that keeps us in stitches for pointing out the obvious, calling out the absurd, rebuking the ridiculous, celebrating the simple wins of motherhood. Those ladies, yeah, they're on the show today. And they use their wit and their humor to make observations about this thing that we love so much but aren't sure isn't going to kill us. And they are bringing generations of women together to help each other get by. And it is all my honor to sit down with them and discover that what you see is what you get. You are absolutely going to love this episode. Laughter. It's like a social glue. I don't know. There's something to it. It's probably science, but I'm not very sciencey. But I did hear a quote once that said, "Laughter is the shortest distance between two people." And I Mom So Hard, they're just gluing us all together, assuring us, yes, it's sticky, but with each other, we can do anything. Hello, ladies. I am so stinking thrilled that you are here. My only regret, you guys, is that my best friend isn't here with me. We talk all the time about if this is something that we think that we could do, if we could ever possibly be as funny as you guys. And then we see y'all in Spanx and swimsuits with hundreds of millions of views. And we're like, no, they're doing great. We'll just leave that to them.
Hold on. We don't expect the Spanx to be funny. We thought it was alluring.
I thought it was
service.
like, it's kind of like we're naked. Watch out.
Yeah,
Here come the modeling contracts.
Darn it. Okay.
That's got to be like your most watched. I mean, anyways, my best friend is freaking out a little bit at home. I'm freaking out a little bit here.
Oh, gosh.
And it's just such a delight that you are on the show. I feel like we tag each other all the time because we've either just talked about something or just whined about something or just cussed about something or threatened something. And then it's like, you have to watch this. If she's not my first phone call, then like after this is all over, she's threatening to call the whole thing off. So we've been best friends since we were 8. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
You're so welcome. So I mentioned my best friend and how you've brought us closer together, which I didn't even think was possible. And the thing is that I know that this is a very common experience. You have brought generations of moms together with just laugh out loud humor, all of the quick wit, the uber relatability, just the right amount of vulnerability and deep thoughts, you know? And then like
I think I might start crying.
Well, are you lovely or what? We needed this today. I know.
Do you know that
so
you're
glad.
like our little angel? We were literally like both like, are you getting your ass kicked? I'm getting my ass kicked.
To me
And then you say those nice things and I took it all in and I was like, well, now I feel like I'm on the verge of crying.
No. Oh my gosh, I want to hug you both because here's what I think those things do. More so, like when you watch all of that, with the like, she just said that honesty, what it does is it gives this authenticity, which, listen, I mean, the humor and the storytelling and the quick wit, all of those are amazing talents and it's great. But I really think that it's the authenticity that says, oh, she's really just a loving, struggling, compassionate, confused, committed mom, badass mom. And she's like really leaning on this other person to get through because this is hard as hell, you know, where it's like, this isn't a shtick. It's real. It's real.
This is great for podcasting. We're both nodding along with you, which I know is exactly what you want for a podcast.
Especially because she's saying such nice things. I'm literally just my hands on my chin and I'm like, just say more. Just everything. Yes.
I've
everything.
been thinking about this, Kristen. We haven't even talked about this yet, but we are, we're writing a new live show. So we're really like deep diving our thoughts and exploring, like breaking stuff down because our friendship, it's not necessarily the motherhood, but the friendship that people really resonate with.
Yeah.
And I think like in most pairs of friendships, there's one that's a little bit reserved and then there's one that is like painfully honest. And I've had that relationship, but maybe Kristen's my first close friend that we're both too honest.
Right.
So it and then it like feeds each other sort of. Because we both, you know, like if you're like with Lynn or if I'm with Mandy, I'm going to say the thing and she's going to be like, oh God.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. Yes. She's going to like, and Lynn's probably like that too with you, right?
I feel like with us, we have this like thing where I think the hardest thing in motherhood, and I think, I don't know why it's like this. I think there is this initial thought that when something is hard, it's yours alone. Like like because it's so nuanced or specific or weird or gross or sort of like if they're being rude or if they're being mean and you're like, I don't want to share that because I don't want them to get the wrong idea about my kid. I don't want them to get the wrong idea about me. And like, it's so hard to just put it out there because you feel in those moments that everybody else has it more figured out than you. It just feels like that. And with Jen, I always feel like, Kristen, just say the thing that you're really struggling with right now. And every time I do, she never meets it with like that sympathetic, like, like she's
that's
like,
too bad for you.
She's like, my kid just got busted for not having a shirt on during a Zoom call for school. Like, but it's so lovely because she's now created that for me for so long that I have this immediate safe space that I know I can say it. I know I can say the thing.
Right.
It's honestly, and that like, we are just absolutely railroading this conversation. But when we got in here,
fantastic.
I had just come from like a school thing that was really hard. And I just feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. And I'm telling it to Kristen. She goes, oh man. And there's this part of me that I was like, thank God you're not coming in here like guns a-blazing, like I've already worked out today and things are going great. And telling me how great the day is going. There's a comfort in knowing that like everyone's struggling a little bit. And maybe that's not the way that you want to build people up, is hoping that they're struggling. But it's nice to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also, nice to know that you can get to a place where you can be like, okay, I'm struggling. This is really hard. Let's not talk about just hard anymore. Let's like get to laughing and like lift. Because I do find sometimes you can just be in this circle of like Eeyores where everyone's like, everything's hard. And I'm like, well, I don't want that. I don't want it to be everything sucks. I do want to get to a point where we start to laugh about something dumb.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, you've struck such a lovely balance of all of it. And I think that's what has people reaching out to one another saying, you have to watch this. They're either trying to strengthen something they already have, or they're trying to create something they can tell they know they need, and it's such a treasure. could not be a bigger fan of your work. And it's important. It's not just laughing. It's not just this any one thing. It's all of it. And I'm just really, really grateful.
Well, yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say this just real quick because I just read this, that like, to your point, like, and it's not just us, it's like the effort for women to get together and the effort for women to commiserate and to lean on each other is so important. And right now we all feel a little bit isolated because we're just coming after a pandemic where we were all alone. And then we have these weird virtual meetings that don't quite soothe your soul the way that just sitting next to your friend, literally just sitting next to your friend, not saying a word, does more for you than a stupid ass Zoom.
Absolutely.
And I think like that's what Jen and I think about when we do the live shows. We feel very honored and very of service to that crew because we're like, we know how hard it is for people to get out. We know how hard it is, you know, money wise. We're just very grateful. So that's why when we go to the stage, we're like, let's kick the crap out of this and have as much fun and say all the things. Let's pack it into an hour and a half and like blow the doors off this joint. So we have a ball doing it. We feel very, very grateful.
That really comes across. Like your genuine love of women, your genuine encouragement of women is so, you know, foot first, you know? And so I think that's the other thing that just makes people so receptive to it. We just all feel so seen and encouraged in your presence. So I always ask people to introduce themselves, so I can introduce you my own way, but for you to introduce yourselves by saying who and what you love. That can be as simple as you like.
You go first.
Well, I'm Jen of I Mom So Hard, and I love my family. I love my friends. I love Kristen. You know what? You don't love your family? Not today.
That's what I heard.
And
that's what I heard.
You know what? I say it out loud so I remind myself because some days I forget. Well, no, we always remember that we love them. I didn't say I like my family.
I was going to say the life part.
I love my
family. That's minute by minute. Let's be honest.
I love what we get to do.
Yes.
It's the funnest.
Yes. I'm Kristen Hensley, and I love Pedro Pascal.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's who I'm in love with right now. It's all I think about.
The current crush.
When I'm having a hard time, I watch him with delight, and my husband knows, and my husband kind of looks like an Irish version of him. So
I worry about your crush on him because it feels like you might have a chance, maybe.
No,
like right? It's attainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my husband,
nicest thing she's ever said to me.
I'm a witness. My husband gets off the hook easy because my celebrity crush is Flynn Rider, and he's like, perfect. It's a cartoon.
Who's that?
Tangled.
Oh, hilarious! You
isn't he delightful?
You have
Admit
to come.
it.
You have to come to our show.
Our new live show. You have to come because you will. There's a whole part of it unintentionally devoted to this topic.
That was like a little golden nugget that just came
for
down.
that.
Meant to be. Oh, I love it when that happens. Okay, so ladies, I know you know. But there are those moments where you threaten to run away to a deserted island with the dog and all will be right in the world because the dog's going to kill the rabbits and you're going to cook them and it's going to be fine. Everything's fine. But you have those moments, and it might be because you got thrown up on one too many times. It might be because you had to read The Hungry Caterpillar so many times that you wanted to step on it. It might be that you got like not enough nights sleep and like in a row, or it might just be that you're outnumbered and panicking, but you know the moments. Is there any moment that led to this being like a thing unavoidable? Like we have to do this thing.
Yes. Oh. Yes. There was a very specific night and I'll never forget it. It's like cemented into my memory because I remember Jen and her husband came over and baby Delilah was like, 4 months old?
Yeah.
And hold on, Jen, do you know what she's about to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. And yes.
So she's like 4 months old and just wanting to nurse all the time, but not nursing like big moments at a time. So she's just up all night, all day. Jen comes in, she's wearing a weird fedora. So I knew that meant she hadn't done her hair in like a really long time. And she looked really like, she just was, you know, when you're breastfeeding and you're sweating all the time.
She
just comes in and I could tell either she'd been crying or she hasn't been sleeping or maybe both. Husband comes in, takes little baby Delilah and Dashiell, and they all go back in the backyard. And my husband husband comes in and takes Eleanor and Finn, and they go in the backyard. So for like the first time ever, Jen and I have a moment with just each other. And we literally were like, we have no time for small talk. Start in the middle, go to, and so I pour us like gigantic glasses of wine, and we both just start bawling and laughing. Like you remember when we thought we'd be better at this?
Yes.
We're so bad at this. Like my son had been caught using some colorful language on the playground, and he was like 3.5, and everything was hard. And then Jen was like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should do something with this, because if moms could see the job we're doing and how bad at it we are, maybe they'll feel better about the job they're doing. Yeah. And then because Jen is so proactive and like productive,
activator,
she's an activator. I looked at her and I said, I think that's a great idea. And we got really excited. And then everybody comes back into the kitchen. So the whole conversation was 8 minutes. And then within a week, we were in front of a camera.
That is fantastic. Where you forgot your kid's name.
Yeah. That's where we did it wrong too.
Yeah. Well, I would add to that it's one of the first conversations that I had with another friend or another mom where we were honest and admitted that like, not only am I not great at this mom thing, I don't know who this old Jen is, and she doesn't exist anymore. There's a different person. I don't have time for this reinvention. I mean, this is a real like third level version of kind of what I used to be. So you just feel wrong kind of in every direction. And we were like, I don't know if we can give any solid advice, but I know we can laugh about it, because that's what we do for each other.
Yeah.
Such a gift. That's really, really well said. And it's hard to watch something slip away that you've known and appreciated for so long.
Yeah, just when I get to like myself, she's out the door.
Right, rude. So the calling of motherhood is of course high, and yes, it's beautiful and joyous, and it's all of these lovely things, but it's also heavy and hard, and some days impossible. I feel like there are some parts of mothering that you just have to eventually make peace with, because it's not ever going to get any easier. What are the things that just don't seem to get easier for y'all? Do y'all have any things where it's like, and this is my lot in life?
Food.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
Cooking is bullying. I feel bullied.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I feel like you're just always bobbing and weaving to get the food right. And then food just becomes all these other things. It's
totally,
I mean, gosh, it's just such an essential part. It's important.
Yeah,
there's judgment. There can be judgment there.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got food opinions.
Everybody's got food opinions. The outside world has opinions. The closest people to you have opinions. Everybody. If you don't have a home cooked meal, you're this. If you're spending money going out, you're that. Like, food to me feels like is one of those things that, because it keeps coming up in conversation for us. And I was like, we never want to feel like we're on a loop, but sometimes motherhood, and that's what nobody tells you, is like the amount of time you will spend repeating yourself.
Oh, it's relentless.
That could be replaced with reading a book. You would be a genius.
My daughter literally said, because she has to pick out, she only eats pasta, but we vary it up in shape.
Yeah.
So she gets to pick out what shape. And she was like watching Survivor with her dad and brother. And I was living Survivor in the rest of the house. And she was like, I want the large shell. So I made it. And you know what? When I delivered the food for her on a tray.
Presented.
Yes. Because I work for her. She goes, oh, this is too big shells.
Oh.
These are the too big of shells.
Listen, Goldilocks.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they'll never vote you off the island, Jen. They need you too much.
No,
you're too valuable.
You know what?
That's right. They wouldn't need it
all. They
all.
Be paying attention. That I was going to say the thing that because this is really happening in my life relentlessly right now, is that like I say a thing. And I say it in a nice voice. And then I say it again. And I say I mean it. And I say it with a warning. And I say it maybe with a countdown. And then when I scream it, everybody looks at me like I'm a monster.
And that's what they remember.
That's all they remember. And I'm so sick of being a monster.
Yeah.
It's also bullying. I just feel harassed all the way around. It's harassment.
Yes.
With cooking for me, it's like, why do I have to beg you to live? My kids are picky. And it's like, I shouldn't have to convince you to do this thing. It feels like Darwin should take over somehow. Like, I don't understand.
I have had other moms, and I've had a pediatrician say to me, when they're hungry, they'll eat. Well, you haven't met my daughter. She won't. She will die on that sword. She
Staying
really will.
power. Goldfish only. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I feel there's no cooking in heaven. I feel that just reminded me. What if there was like a Hell's Kitchen? Like,
yeah, that's what it is.
There's a whole show where the mom,
yeah.
yes, like after a day is cooking while doing, you know, fraction homework. I don't know.
Gordon Ramsay is easier than a toddler. I'm just going to say that.
There you have it. Okay, so because kids are jerks and don't care who's watching, they embarrass us all the time. You know how sometimes there are those embarrassing moments where it's like, yeah, but it was funny and it's a story I like to tell. And then there's those embarrassing moments where it's like, no, we have to get out of here. Either or, I don't care which, but do y'all have a good embarrassing mom story?
I mean, I can take the bad one. I can take the bad one. I mean, you know, my son is a 6th grader, and I think the middle school is a really tricky time. How old are your kids?
Yeah. So my oldest just turned 14 2 days ago. Yeah.
Okay. Tips are welcome here, by the way.
Yeah. Let's collaborate because
we are in the, I know that he's in pre-adolescence, and I know that all of these things are him laying down boundaries and trying to define himself as a person.
Age appropriate.
But I am losing it because he is an antagonist, and I feel like he's testing me. Like, and I'm like constantly like, what do you want me to say when you say something so dumb? Like, how am I supposed to what does the cool mom say when you say something this dumb? And so, but the big example that comes to my head is we were at Jen's birthday party for Dashel like 4 nights ago, and I saw this go down. My son went over and grabbed a big old handful of ice, and I knew he was going to throw it. And he was going to throw it down onto the basketball court and probably hit someone, not thinking more than he could literally, with the nose on his face. I go, don't throw that ice. And I could tell the words hit his ears, and he threw the ice anyway. Ooh. And I'm telling you, I don't like public scenes. And if you ever want to like get me like turtling and like looking like a deer in headlights, it's put me in a public scene. I don't like it. Yeah. So I like got low with my voice, and I felt like the record scratched, and I was like, you sit down. Yeah. I was like, you're going to hurt someone. You're going to pick up all the trash at this party. And then I hate myself.
Oh, God love him. That was the best thing that happened that whole night. He did 2 entire bags.
As he should.
Garbage.
Party was over for Finn Sweeney.
I mean, that party for me, it was that my son turned 10. It was his first drop-off party. And oh God, there's so many things I want to say and don't want to say, but it was super embarrassing because I said, like, in the text to all of the parents, I said, you can do a drop off. It's going to be a movie night, and it's from 6 to 9:30, and they're just going to sit outside. You know, we had got a outside projector and stuff like that. I'm going to give them pizza, and I'm going to give them popcorn and candy, you know, for them to pick. And
also a Friday night, by the way. So all the parents were like, what you really mean is drop off at 5, pick up at 10. What's up?
Well, and I said, I was like, I'm going to have like a charcuterie plate and wine if parents want to sit and watch the movie too, whatever. Nobody stayed. Nobody stayed. You could hear the tires squealing when they dropped them off. And all of a sudden I was there with my husband, and I was like, what do we do? What do we So, and the movie didn't work. So, like 20 minutes into the movie, we've got no sound, but the kids are really amped up on popcorn and so much candy. And they all get in the trampoline. One barfs. One loses a tooth. One almost
loses
barfs.
his yarmulke.
One loses. One loses, or one needs allergy medication. I'm just like texting all the parents, like, can I get this? Please come back. And then thank God Kristin shows up with her husband. However, her husband takes my husband then, and they start talking about sports. And I've never yelled at her husband before, but I walked up to the two of them, and I was like, I need help parenting. Can you make sure there's not 14 kids in the trampoline? Please?
I knew because I took my daughter who was starting to have a sore throat and I was like, we're not going to be that crew again. We're not, if this is
No, not us.
not us. We're not going to be the
patient zero.
contagion again. We've done that before with hand, foot, mouth. We're getting out of here. So I took her home and promptly gave her a COVID test. And I was like, oh God, please no. And it was not COVID, but my husband had my son who was cleaning up the party because he threw
Thank
the
God.
ice. And I go, you better not be sideline conversationing with Britt right now because there are a lot of kids there and Jen is doing a lot of work. So walk the perimeter. And I'm sure he got that text and he was literally right next to Britt and he was like, oh, like, how did you see
I gotta walk
Yeah.
the perimeter.
I was
well,
just
and not to mention, I feel like kids' birthdays have taken on like this whole
crazy.
new. I mean, it's not. It's like
crazy.
everyone's a quinceañera. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
We're just
It's a
like
big deal.
overachieving all the time. It's ridiculous.
this one I thought was basic, and I felt in some ways like I'd gotten
yeah,
off the
no,
hook.
it was. I agreed that's
Because
like low
I'm not
key
doing
and
goodie bags anymore. And
Yeah.
part of it, that's the sell. I'm like, you're a big kid now. We don't do that. You have your friends together.
yeah, right.
And this felt like an easy, like limited amount of time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the kids had such a good time. Like they really did. I see parents like a drop off and they're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they're raving about this party. And I'm like, I didn't do anything to entertain them, really. I had a movie that didn't.
Which is probably why they don't want to be overprogrammed. They just
No.
they want to
They-
pretend like they're grown-ups and
We
yeah.
locked
Yeah.
them in a yard. They
That's
were
all
in
you
a
gotta do.
yard. It
Yeah.
was just like a prison.
Welcome to the 80s.
They just had a really.
Yeah, that's right.
They had fun together at
It's a
night, and
marvel
they
we're
felt like
alive.
big kids, whatever. So it was a win, except for the vomit, and so
Yeah.
and the tooth.
I mean, that's
And
just
the-
a normal, that was a normal day growing up where I was
Yeah,
at.
I
They were,
know.
it's usually one of the parents that were birthing.
No broken legs.
Too much
That's
Bartles
all
and
we-
James.
Yeah.
Too many Bartles and James.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you know how you don't know how sarcastic you are until you have a mini me?
Oh,
I I would love to hear what you have passed on to your children for better or worse. What are the ways that they are like you?
oh,
Oh,
God.
this goes so deep. Why are we talking about this? My son, I am aware that my son and I look alike. That's how much
Yeah.
we look alike is I can see it. Because I do think it's
Yeah, right,
weird
right,
as a
right.
parent. You're like, oh, I see my husband more. Or he's his own person. But like you put my 4th grade picture next to Finn Sweeney and we are twins.
Yeah.
And now listen,
Yeah.
we both have the same haircut and we're in football
Same
jerseys.
mullet.
But
yeah.
I had on gold shell earrings and he didn't wear those for his picture. So we were in the kitchen and he was being a sarcastic brat. And I looked at him and I was like, you've never looked more like me. I've never recognized myself more than I do right now. And I was having this weird out of body experience where I was like, I'm seeing myself and I'm talking to my mom, who I also look like. So
yeah.
then I also sound like now. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be you and I don't want to be me. This
and
is
your
a
mom
fact.
is like leaning back with her
Oh,
arms crossed,
she's-
like just
She's
loving it
just-
all.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
got like popcorn. She's like,
Yeah.
watch her.
Mhm.
Look at
Yeah.
remember when she thought she had it all figured out? Yeah, it's great.
I got an email from the teacher last week, and I said to my daughter, I got an email from your teacher. Do you know what it's about? She goes, because I'm bringing too much glam to school. Yes,
Oh.
that's what it was. She was bringing makeup, lotion, a
Mhm.
spa mask, and setting
Mhm.
them on her desk.
500
Mhm.
crystals.
So many. Yeah, yes.
Like I think she had like
Oh.
one of those things that pump steam into the air.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff with, she's
Oh
selling
my gosh.
Arbonne
Himalayan
out of the.
salt rock.
That's who I
Yeah.
wanted to sit by. That is a good
Right?
time.
Of course.
Right
She's
there.
in the
Yeah.
calming group. Exactly. But it was definitely, I was like, oh, yeah, she's bringing a lot of self-care to school. That's definitely my influence.
It's
Or
I
the
have
best.
one.
Advice.
I have one who has no chill at all, and then I have another one who is all chill. And I don't know how
Same.
they're both like me, but they are. And so the one that has no chill, like she needs to be a prosecutor because the girl can
Oh my God, we have the same
argue.
children.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, and I hope one day that, she grows up and starts arguing for vulnerable people. But like for right now, that's not me. And you need to say, yes, ma'am. And
Yeah,
then the
you're
other
a
one,
vulnerable person. Yeah.
Yes.
and then the other
Yeah.
one is like, I saw this meme and I was like, oh, and it says IDGAF and then IDGAF Junior. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I feel like as our kids get older and our jobs kind of start to shift a little bit, I mean, raising little people was so physical. It's like your body is broken. You know, I mean, just getting them into the car is this athletic event that we suck at, right?
Jeez,
and so, but then in middle school, like you're kind of starting to use your brain a little bit. And so, there's it's hard, but as a former middle schooler, Kristen, I'm like you, my middle school experience was horrific.
Right.
As a former middle schooler, you have compassion for that. What are some of the challenges you're seeing with your kids getting older, and how are you coping? Because I feel like my inner gangster is being tested all the time.
I have to remember that sometimes, and I learned this from my mom. So my mom was, a teacher when I grew up in a little small town who's playing at state today. First time ever since 1947, state basketball. Go boys, go Central City, go Bison. That's why I'm wearing green. So my mom was a school teacher, and I did really have a hard time in junior high. It was really the peak of my ADD. I was undiagnosed at that time. I was just really struggling socially. I did have good friends who tolerated me being kind of like off the wall, and like I mean, I always had a good heart, but I'm sure that there were times they were like, oh, I just wish you wouldn't have like grabbed that out of my hand and spilled it on my new pants. You know what I mean? Like it was just tough. And
some
then
chaotic energy,
energy. And then I was also a huge late bloomer. I was like so small and like nothing happened for me till like mid high school. I was like, what bullshit is this? So it was tough. My mom, I think, tried her best, but I think the thing she did that was the smartest is that she sort of had these allies on the periphery that were watching me. So she would ask like her teacher friends that were like, if I would, you know, she taught elementary and I was in the middle school, she would talk to her friends and be like, is she okay? How is she doing in the hallways? What does she look like? You know, like it was very touching. And she did that for me all through high school. I didn't know until I graduated that she kind of had these spies that would just make sure that I was okay. And I think sometimes that's why we need our mommy crew, because sometimes I'm like, I need Jen's perspective. Yeah. And I'll say, did I overreact about the ice or did I underreact about the ice? And Jen was like, all I know I can see why you're mad about the ice, but your kid picked up trash for an hour. And I was like, all right, I'm going to let everything, you know what? And like he uses manners or he's sweet or we heard him say a nice thing. Your outside friends can tell you who your kid is becoming easy as you can, because they're not the same kid when they're with you. They feel safe. So
exactly. The battlefield's at home.
They're like, my son, he was like, yeah, I tried sauerkraut. And I'm like, what? And he's like, that's what so-and-so's mom served. And I go, you ate it? He's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be rude. And I go,
that's a value of yours?
Eat a freaking tater tot.
I do. I think it's great it's great that they misbehave at home. But my husband, his mom, like he was a naughty kid, and his mom went and like she had a master's degree, but she took a secretary position at the school because she found out when he was in like 8th grade, he was good at home and he was horrible to everybody else. And that was a big old deal. And so she was like, I had to be at the school to manage him and like for whatever reason. So consider that a little bit of a luck that because usually that's what they do is they're naughty and testing at home, and then they go out and they use their manners because they want to be liked. You have to like them. You have to love them.
I love the multiple sets of eyes too, because it doesn't make you the end all be all. Like there's going to be people that you are more likely to tell something else to that you might not want to tell me. And so let's create this little village. It's just how it should be. It's great.
Yes. I have a friend that I'm like, look, tell your daughter she can call me at any time and I'll come pick her up. No questions asked.
No questions asked.
But I will literally tell you that she called me and asked me to pick her up. But I won't. That's all I'll deliver. I'll be an Uber driver if she feels more comfortable talking to me than she does talking to you. But I will tell you that I picked her up and dropped her off and she's safe. And then you guys can have a chat. But we have to be there for each other. And it's also just nice to know that the building blocks of who they are becoming is you've got these perceptions from other people that are helping you. And, you know, sometimes you don't need everybody weighing in, but it is nice to hear like a mom texted me and said, Finn had really nice manners in the car. And I was like, thank God. I'm glad he wasn't ripping them because he thinks that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And then turning up the heater.
Funny. Yeah, that's my daughter's trick.
I think moms too, you feel like you don't want to reach out to other moms. hopefully this is changing in the
Yeah.
world. I feel like it gets different as your kids get older, but like you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to feel like yesterday I was working. She and I were both working, and I had a friend whose daughter was they're FaceTiming doing homework together. And she texted my phone and goes, "Oh, they're so cute. Are you watching them?" And I was like,
Nope.
no, I'm not. My husband's in with my daughter, though. He's doing homework right now because I'm out here working. And she's like, "Why are you telling me this?" I'm like, "I didn't want you to think I'm at the casino. Like, while the kids are just like, I left them at home or something like that." Like, you feel the need to to defend yourself.
Over-explain, whatever.
There was a mom that I had a disagreement with, not unpleasant. She's a friend of mine, but we just disagree with what's going on in the world, like politically, school, whatever. And
do you want me to punch her in the face?
No, I don't. Okay. She texted and she said, "I hope you're not offended. I just want you to know my thoughts on it." And I said, my bottom line is I'm looking out for your kids and you're looking out for mine. And we don't need to have these periphery conversations, honestly.
Right. No.
Right. So it as long as we're doing that, it helps the world.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, and that, ladies, I read your book and I want you to know this. I read the acknowledgments, which is weird, right? I mean, do people really read the acknowledgments? I don't know. I'm nosy. I sometimes do. But I was reading the acknowledgments and I wept with y'all by the end of it, honestly. And there was something about what you just said that was our motherhood transcends all of that.
Yeah.
There is something about our motherhood that has become this giant equalizer. Guys, please go get the book. Let's promote. Before we do that, do we have time for a life hack or a guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Life hack or guilty pleasure. I know we all love true crime.
Oh, yes. Gosh, I have so much.
That is not a guilty pleasure. That is we're trying to find a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A guilty person is a guilty pleasure.
That's great. Oh my gosh. That play on words. I love y'all so much.
I already started rewatching the Murdoch murders on Netflix because my husband didn't watch it. And I was like, you got to watch this and get mad with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. See, I wanted to start from the beginning and I didn't feel, I felt like it was already going on when I kind of started to clue in, even just before the trial. And it was like, I need to know about this boat. I just need to know all the things.
There's a lot.
There's a
lot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's so much you won't know from the news. This documentary does.
Right.
There's a lot. I've seen too much. I know too much.
I know.
Yeah.
If I am watching court TV and I'm like, I've seen this interview 4 times. I'm like, oh God, Kristin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go to sleep listening to true crime, which is probably should be a problem, but I don't. I mean, I go to sleep,
are not alone, sister.
Yeah.
There are so many nights that I'm like, I just need to calm down and watch Dateline.
Yeah. I'm sure there are biological reasons for why there are so many women eating up true crime. I think we're all just kind of trying to stay alive, right? I mean, and so it's like we're gaining information. It's possible that there's some superiority where it's like, well, I wouldn't have dated a serial killer. I'm not trying to victim blame or anything.
I think I would have.
Yeah. If he was hot enough, for sure I would.
Not a serial killer because I never dated anybody with that much gumption. I was like, you're just fine staying at this mid-level spectrum job,
not motivated whatsoever.
You're a loser.
Yeah. Jesus. Nobody's going to buy your paintings.
Yeah. Well, we have this theory too that it's about there's a comfort for women because it starts the worst things already happened. So you're just figuring out.
Yeah.
It's like you get a little bit of resolve.
Totally.
And we have good intuition, so we get to use that a little bit. I'm always feeling better because I'm still alive and I don't like people, but I didn't kill them. So it's either way, I'm just kind of better than everyone.
Also, it tells us cautionary tales.
Yeah, right.
Look, when the story starts out it was a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere with there's your first problem.
I'm not living there.
You gotta choose a different real estate option. Yeah. Get some dogs.
Yes.
Where's your ring
Good
at?
lights.
Good lights. Where's your motion light? This is too dark here. You're setting yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm going to buy a different real estate option.
Yeah. We're all just gaining information. Okay.
And then
yes.
Life hack. You need a life hack?
Why not? Do you have one? A mom hack. Do you have a mom hack? When you watch that lady slice all the rolls and put the cheese and turkey on all 12 rolls.
I'm feeling very I feel not good inadequate when I see those. I'm like, oh God.
I know.
Geez.
The Pinterest mom.
You've got one with the ladle? Jen had a really good mom hack that she came up with on her own that was hilarious. And the moms came a storming, and it was really funny.
So my kids keep losing those little tiny Apple remotes.
Which are so expensive to replace, by the way.
Why? It's for sport. They lose them for sport.
They lose them for sport. We
Did
just
you
said
hear the doorbell.
The doorbell sounds like someone is on a rope. Bing, boom. Mom, Miss McAdams.
I didn't know there was a doorbell that you could hear here.
I've never heard that before. Did Brett just access a button we've never heard in our entire lives? That's fantastic.
That was your sound
Tony,
effect to say, ladies, wrap it up.
Yes, we will probably, but
well,
we can.
Here's my hack though.
Yeah.
So they kept losing the remote. So I duct taped it to a huge ladle like it was a gas station key.
Of course,
now we can always find it.
Brill.
Going home right now and doing it right now.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, it makes it uncomfortable. So the people that didn't purchase the remote control no longer feel the need to hold the remote control.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, hey, 12-year-old, did you buy this TV? Give me the remote. If there's a ladle on it, they're less likely to feel cozy with it.
Oh my gosh, not so comfy, you know what I mean? In your hand.
Yeah, so
they know exactly what they're doing. Apple
they know exactly what
they're
doing.
getting rich off of chargers and remotes.
Totally.
We got a message from a mom who was so tired of losing the remote that she taped it to a cinder block so it couldn't be taken out of the room. And I just think it's genius. She's like, I'm done. If you don't get it, y'all, I'm done.
We're going to go back to the people that have to walk up to the TV. That's what's slowly
I'm
happening.
Okay with that. I'm okay with that. Make it all go back.
That's why you have
it all
kids.
Back.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's promote. Everyone, please go get their book. If you think that you love the 3-minute videos that you're seeing online, you are going to cherish these several hours. I just loved it so much. I've already recommended it a jillion times. So please go do that. But I know that a tour is coming up. Let's talk.
Go to imomsohard.com, and that tells you all the cities and dates. And we're very excited. It's our summer tour. We haven't done a summer tour in a really long time. And we feel like everything we've talked about today sort of magically is kind of coming up in our show. So we're really ready to storm the stage on this one.
Yeah, and it's a 2-person stand-up show. It's not your show where we're gonna kumbaya, hold hands. We're not gonna make you. We're gonna make you laugh till hopefully your stomach hurts, your face hurts. Till
it's definitely a little naughty, but that's okay, and you deserve it. And can we just say that you've been the loveliest,
Absolutely.
And we think you're just A+.
Yes,
honestly.
Thank you so much. It is 100% mutual. This season of my life has shaped me more than anything else has. I've learned so much about what love is and what sacrifice is, and you have come alongside and made us all laugh while we're doing it. And I people are just so grateful. It's an honor to me that I just get to say it to you face to face. I'm representing how so many people feel.
Thank you.
I am going to yell and scream about your work. I believe in it so much, and God bless you for bringing women together. I feel like our generation, Gen X, we just finally undid all this competitive women bullshit that has never worked. It's never worked. I think work used to actually be scarce or something, and so they needed to be competitive, and we're no, that doesn't work. Collaboration's better. So cooperation, cohesiveness. I just love how much you love women. I love you right back. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're so welcome. I can't wait to come this summer. Hello, Beef. Can you believe? Can you believe?
I cannot. I'm still a little bit sad that I couldn't be there for the whole entire interview. Although I totally agree that we would have, no one would have been able to hear anything.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Because friends and listeners, this was a consideration. It was how in the world can I interview I'm Mom So Hard, who is these famous besties, without my Beefy? How is that even possible? Right. And we talked it over. It wasn't a long conversation, but we basically just said no one would be able to get a word in as edgewise. I mean, it was a little bit hard with 3 people because I had so many things that now that I have you on, there's so many things that I wanted to say, but of course nobody wants to hear from me in that moment. They want to hear from them. And so anyways, it was a lot as it was, but yes. Did you love it?
Good. And I was consulted just before and just after the interview. So I felt almost a part of it.
All promises were upheld. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So possibly my favorite part is that they were not weirded out that you have a crush on a cartoon. Not only were they not weirded out about it, but they have material about it that they're going to be doing at their show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like-minded. Yes.
Yeah. And I loved, like, they talked about just appreciating the like time and financial sacrifice that women have that are going to see them, and how that like motivates them to kill it, which of course motivates me to want to go watch them kill it.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, they just like, I love that their kids embarrass them and they're not shy about talking about it. They were like, if you watch their content, they were exactly what you would expect.
Yes, exactly.
I love authenticity. So I was here for all of it.
They were on actually a pretty strict timeline. Like they had a schedule that day, and and I was trying to be super respectful of that, and because we could have talked forever. And they went way over, which was so kind of them. I mean, they were just absolutely wonderful.
Totally the real deal.
Yeah.
Okay. But I did have one question that came up when I was listening. Do you remember they said that usually in a best friend partnership, one person is usually more reserved?
Yeah.
And like, of the two of us, who do you think is more reserved?
Are you kidding?
No.
Beef. Are
Me?
you serious?
You?
What? Oh my gosh.
What?
I am such a spaz. I feel like I have a meltdown every single day, like it's my morning routine or something. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. People drive me insane. Like I am the spazist of spazzes.
No. Okay. So I make meltdown.
I'm trying to like leave to an island all the time, like to avoid my life. Like what?
Okay. I have meltdowns at night. I mean, I'm on the island with you. I just might bring an Instant Pot. I feel like only like half of people make you crazy and the other half make me crazy. So same.
Oh my gosh, Beef. You are always the one talking me down.
That is not true. You talk me down. How are we defining reserved here? Okay. What, like everything you just mentioned is about people like being fed up, right?
Okay. Well, fed up feels like the very opposite of chill, right? Like you are so steady. You are so chill.
Okay. Well, like reserved isn't chill to me.
Okay.
Tamer maybe, or like quiet or more controlled, but it's not necessarily like a lack of like reserve.
Okay. Yeah. You definitely have like tamer, chiller meltdowns.
Okay. But remember when we were at the beach and our girls were walking down the beach and there were some other girls that had a volleyball and they like kind of wanted to play with it. And there was like we were watching them like try to figure it out. And you commented that of the two of us that I would have been the one to like have the gumption to walk up to the stranger girls and ask if we could like play with their volleyball.
100%. I would never do that. Yeah. That is 100% you over me every single time. It's how we became friends. Like I see what you're saying. Okay, so you think that is a lack of reservation. I think that is extroversion and optimism for strangers.
Okay. So I think what we have resolved here is that we don't know what reserved means. You cry loud and I don't mind strangers. So there.
Okay, how about neither of us are reserved? Moving on. Which, by the way, I think that's the resolution that they came to as well. Like neither one of us are reserved. Okay, that's hilarious.
Okay, so the other thing, like seriously, that I thought about when they were talking is I think it was Kristen was talking about how similar she is to her son, and just kind of having that awareness, and it made me think of something that happened recently at my house. So, as you know, our son we are very, very similar, right? And that makes him the hardest and the easiest at times. And so the other day, it's just fun when they like get old enough and you can like have these moments with them, right? And so the other day he's telling a story and he's doing like a lot of wind up and just kind of like manipulating the story to make himself like less guilty or like more of the hero. Like I can literally just like see his wheels turning and I'm like, wait, stop. What I said to my 13-year-old son, judge me if you may, is Miles, we have the same brain. Don't bullshit a bullshitter. I know exactly what you're doing. And then he broke immediately and cracked up because he knew exactly what I meant. And now it's become a joke of ours. And I will just like lock eyes and be like, Miles, same brain. I don't necessarily right. every time, but same
I was
brain.
just going to say like the family lore, like the line of don't bullshit a bullshitter becomes family lore.
Yes.
Totally. I love things like that. Like there's nothing, I wrote this the other day on social media. It was like someone left a comment on one of our videos that was on one of our TikTok videos that was referencing a video from like years ago, or, and I was like, inside jokes are my very favorite love language. So when a family has an inside joke, I think it's so much fun. We have one because we watch Modern Family together, and it's, what's the plan, Phil? Anyways, but it means something to all of us, and we all get a little chuckle out of it. And okay. So the ways that our kids are like us. So Silas is, he is a little bit of an old soul, except he's like this, man-child too. But Silas has this ability to see through a situation. Okay. And I think I have a similar ability where with a little time and space, I can get to the bottom of something that might be, it looks like it's up here, but really it's here.
Totally.
Okay. And so, how like a lot of parenting, I mean, love, hate it, I don't know. But a lot of parenting in trying to shape behavior is a little bit of manipulation. And sometimes that manipulation can involve a lie. And it might be a harmless lie, but it's,
a necessary lie, if you will.
Harmless. Okay. Right. And so
we can bullshit a bullshitter. They just can't bullshit us. Sorry.
So I was saying something to Silas that was really just trying to shape some behavior. And it wasn't full of full truths. Okay. And I don't even remember the situation. I only remember his sentence because it was so wise out of such a young mouth. But he looked at me and he goes, I can see that what you're doing right now is an acceptable form of manipulation, but I don't like it. He was basically saying, I see that what you're doing is like within the rules of parenting, but it still makes me feel a certain way. Yep. Okay, lady?
And I'm going to call you on it. Let's all be clear what's happening here. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I love it. I love that I have passed that on. It's except when it works against me, of course.
Of course.
One of the things that I loved that they did, Beef, because I feel like you and I do this together, is when they were arguing for the best in another's kid. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know that moment?
Ice. Yeah. I mean, when somebody has like, optimistic eyes on your kid and sees the best in them, it's just like such a sign of togetherness and support.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, do you remember you got a birthday cake for Hope at your house, and I don't remember the details, but it was like a sprinkle birthday cake, and you like came out and everybody stopped what they were doing, like came to sing happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
And her face was just like weird, and she didn't say thank you. Like you had gone to all this trouble to like make this happen for her. And I remember being about to pull her aside to be like, you're Beefy, just got you this cake. Like say thank you, like loud enough where she can hear it. And instead you pulled me aside and you were like, do you not remember how awkward it is to have happy birthday sung to you?
Yeah. It's it's the longest song ever. It's like a flipping funeral dirge.
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to look? What do I do with my hands? It's the worst.
I was not thinking about it from her perspective and at all, and like just wasn't valuing that. And you were like, she said thank you with her eyes, further embarrassing her, like is just going to make like this already embarrassing thing worse. And I was like, I honestly, if I'm being totally honest, at the time, like I didn't totally agree with you. I was so focused on like what I wanted her to do, but I trusted you and trusted the intensity. So I was like, okay, I will change. I'm not going to go scream at my daughter for not appropriately.
You know what it was, Beef? What in that particular moment, and maybe this is like, I don't know, like taking something too deep for an audience and no one cares but us. But in that moment, it would have ruined what was a happy moment and what was potentially a memory. You never know what's going to stick as memories, but it would have stuck as a memory in the wrong way. When the truth is, like, there's still time. There's still time to do that the way that you want her to do it.
Right.
And I love, like, there's this sentence that comes to me every now and then. I don't know if someone taught it to me or I read it or it came from some introspection, but every now and then there's this sentence that plays that says, I'm not powerless here. And so it's like when I feel kind of this like rushing of anxiety or, this isn't going how I want, there's like this slow down moment that like stops a spinning wheel. If you were to put something out and stop it, that says, I'm not powerless here. And so like, she can come up later and say, hey, Beef, I really loved the cake. Or hugging me as she says goodbye, because she hugs me every time we say goodbye, and saying, whatever, there's still opportunities. Okay. So maybe this was even the same day, because do we have cake every time we're together? Like this was involving cake.
I mean, there's 12 of us when we get together, so it's usually about to be or just was somebody's birthday.
Someone's birthday, yeah. Okay, well, this involved cake, and I don't know if I was doing the slicing. Maybe someone else was doing the slicing, which is what made me. Maybe it was someone else's cake, which is what made. But regardless, I was like on edge about this cake, and maybe there wasn't enough to go around. I thought, I don't know, but my kid, was it Amelia?
Mm-hmm. I think
Amelia dropped this piece of cake onto the floor. And so like, again, instant. And by the way, this has to do with us being beefies together, is that you can see the thoughts before they express themselves, right? So like, you can see that I'm like clenching my jaw and upset that she just dropped this piece of cake on the floor. And what you did is you pulled me aside. Maybe it was like even just a certain grab of the arm in this like kind way that just says, hold on. And you said to her, you took over in the moment. So like before I could get words out, you said, how frustrating. That's so frustrating that was like the perfect piece of cake. And now it's on the floor.
She was so disappointed.
Like, it's like, that was her loss.
Right.
Anyways, I just love I think you said the word optimism earlier. Like I love the optimism of seeing what we hold most dear.
Right.
Because we hold our children most dear, more than anybody, our own children.
Right.
And when someone helps you do that, I'm just so grateful. I think that it is I think you said togetherness too. I think it's the deepest sign of togetherness. Like we are in this together.
Yes. And can carry that torch when you're not able to, right? Like both of us in those moments, like lost sight of the bigger picture because we were like so focused on this like parenting thing or whatever. And so to be able to keep that optimism in a moment where we weren't able to have it for our own kiddo.
Knowing that there's more than just you advocating for this person.
Yes.
Like it's so awesome. Jen Fulweiler actually just posted something today about surrounding yourself with a village. And of course this is how I kind of reflected on it, but like, of course that's great for me, to be surrounded by all these different gifts and people that can, step in when need be. But how wonderful for my kids, because there are aspects of my kids that I don't see fully, but it requires a certain level of humility to say, I'm not
for sure
going to get everything right or see the whole picture or whatever. Anyways, I just love all of that. Okay. So are we going to go this summer to go watch them?
We have to go backstage and tackle hug them.
Okay.
Throwing a leg around each of them.
Who do you want? I get Kristen.
I'll get Jen.
Perfect. Love it. Love you, Beef.
Love you. Bye.
I am so grateful for you, listener. If you liked this episode, could you please do me a favor and hit subscribe and leave a review? It really helps the show grow, and I would be so appreciative. Thank you so much to our guests who share their gifts so generously with us, and a special thank you to Taylor Schroll, who does so much behind the scenes to make the show great. If it weren't for him, I would still be in my closet with my iPhone. You can follow along at Forte Catholic as well. That's Taylor's show where I show up now and again. And to keep up more regularly, please follow along on Instagram at Allison M. Sully or TikTok at Sullivan Family TikTok. See you next week.
Today's show was a production of Allison Sullivan in conjunction with the Forte Catholic Podcast Network. For more great Catholic podcasts, head on over to fortecatholic.com/podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.